आपादमौलिपर्यन्तं गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नं प्रणश्यन्ति सत्यं त्यजां मनोरथः लक्ष्मीं तनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षं मङ्गलित्वयं निगमशाकिशिखा प्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरुहडम्बरचौर्यनिघ्नं विघ्नातिभेदशतधारधुरन्धरन् सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. So for the Samskara session of the 34th shloka, we see the Chidatmana they say. So what is this chitta that we are experiencing? Actually, chit is the Brahma, concept of Brahman, the initial manifestation of chit. But chitta is that is bound by human consciousness, that mind. So that concept we can understand through yoga better, where chitta is a composition of three different parts. Does that chitta? One is the mana, and then there is the buddhi, that is the intellect, and then there is ahankara, ego. So, spiritually speaking, manas is the how do you put across manas? Buddhi we know as the mahat, the intellect, the data processing, uh, bringing a processing any kind of data in the material world. Ahankara is the discrimination, the power of discrimination. Manas is a Paramanu Rupa. It is very difficult to experience Manas. It is a rational aspect of the mind. So this three together, these three compose what is the concept of Chitta. So when we are talking about mind as a Western concept, all these three together, we feel that it has come to one particular thing, it has resulted in one thing called as the Chitta. However, wrongly, Manas itself is equated to mind, but Chitta is the modern equivalent, we can say. So that here, the Chitta is composed of manifested forms only. Chitta, not Chit. Chit is different. Chitta is different. And the difference is nothing but Chitta is the composition of manifested things only. See, Ahankara is completely manifested because there is discrimination powers involved. Buddhi is data compliant. It is intellect is developed only when there is data. And then manaha was also rationality. So there also we find that it is manifested forms. Even though manas is nitya, manaha is nitya, but that is only because of it is paramana rupa. So when we are taking all these three together, we have the chitta. But chit is a little different, and that we will talk about in the next some other part. So when we talk about the chitta, this chitta is influenced by various factors because these three different compositions of it have their own ways to influence. Like, for example, the buddhi gets influenced by past impressions called samskaras, accumulated experiences, memories, our thoughts, behaviors. All those things add to the buddhi. The ahankara is extremely influenced by the gunas because that is through the fundamental discrimination actually occurs through the gunas, and then it further develops into the trigunas I'm talking about. So fundamental discrimination occurs to the trigunas, that is sattva, rajas, and tamas, and then further when we see the manifested gunas, the uh, rasa, gandha, rupa, all those things that also occurs. So here it is occurred through that. Then manas is influenced by vrittis. Manas vrittis, that is the reason we say it is chanchalatva, the fluctuations of the mind change in that particular, when we take thoughts with it changes. So these three, the samskaras, vrittis, and gunas, they influence the buddhi, um, manas, and ahankara respectively, and therefore they have a very impressionable effect on our chitta. So that is the reason we say when we are doing something, there has to be some samskara associated with it. So it is not just by accident that our chitta has conceptualized and has led us to believe that we can do something. So therefore, there must be some impression of these three things in there. So any past experience, any our nature, guna karma, and then our thought, rationality, fluctuations of that mind, all these things come together only, and they are all interrelated, and they lead to one particular element of chitta. So when we talk about chitta vritti nirodha, we are saying that we want to calm our mind to an extent where we are able to experience each of the element individually and within that flow. So it shouldn't be that I'm thinking about one thing now and then suddenly my mind jumps to another thing. So that happens, we are not able to stay with a certain thought because of that. That chitta is getting affected. Actually, that vritti is from the manas. So the vritti, when it increases, what happens? We cannot experience what samskara we have. Right now, I don't find a very great deal when we bow down to our elders. But then that is also a samskara that has been taught. We being aware that we have that samskara is a different thing. We are not staying with that samskara, therefore we are not experiencing it. We just do it maybe because of a routinely matter. But when we experience that, then we will understand that the respect associated, the pujya bhava that should be associated with that action, it automatically increases. Like when I am trying to um, calm my breathing, the first thing in yoga that we usually instruct is that we need to notice the inhalation and exhalation. So when we start to observe our inhalation and exhalation, slowly they start to slow down. And we don't have to put in a voluntary effort towards it. When we start to notice our inhalation, exhalation, and the thoracic movements, the uh, chest area, it gets bigger when we inhale and then it collapses when we exhale. When we start to observe it, they seem to sink, they start to sink. We are not doing anything over there. There is no voluntary effort to sink them, but they start to do it. So recognizing a certain action and what is behind that action actually enhances that quality. So when I'm doing namaskara to my gurus, ancestors, I do it probably because I have done it. That samskara is there within me. I have done it since I was a child. I've been given that samskara. I've been born in a culture where it is considered, obedient and etiquettes come by. And but what happens when I observe it, when I do it? That means when I perform that action, when I take cognizance of that, then the essence of that particular action increases. When I recognize that, oh, I have to do this to my elders, and when I do that particular action, I am recognizing that I'm keeping it, making myself aware of it. Then what happens? Automatically, my what do we say? Uh, my emotion associated with that action increases manifold. So that pujya bhava actually increases. So this uh, importance is possible only when we stay with a particular thought. If I'm doing it, if I'm writing, I'm writing something about certain matter, and my mind is elsewhere. and I'm just copying something, then I'm not going to imbibe that particular the result of that particular action. So I have to stay with that particular topic. That is the reason we need the buddhi, we need the manas to stay stable. We don't want it to fluctuate. And there comes the most important. The reason we try to get rid of the vrittis. The influence of this fluctuation of this vrittis is so much that it can destroy our cognizance of the samskaras, and it can make us ignorant of the gunas. That means we start to ignore our gunas only. We don't recognize that we are getting angry very fast, or that we are not responding properly to certain stimulus. So until and unless we stay with that particular thought, it is difficult for us. So that is the reason we need to calm our mind. So whole of the chitta gets influenced by the manas. That is the capability. So this concept of chitta is explained in many texts, but primarily we can understand it through yogic texts. So it is much more structured in that way. So with this, we end the concept of chitta. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्य प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण मही महिषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।